Hey y'all, it's Kim. So I don't know if y'all have seen this clip. I was gonna play Rita Panahy, her take on Bill Maher's she has Hate Her No More, Bill Maher's TDS cured. But let's just hear straight from him. I got a copyright ding on the other video that I did, but it just because it was like the UFC thing where Trump was making the entrance, and so I'm trying not to get any more copyright. I had to dispute it because it's like, I mean, Sky News Australia used the original clip, and so I was just reacting to it, but who knows? But anyway, this is Bill Maher. It says 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that my friend Kid Rock set up because we share the belief that there has to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. So let's open this up, and that way you can watch the full clip.
Now, I know you've all been waiting for, I'd like to give you my book report on my visit to the White House. Okay. As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
Well, I mean, I get that. We shouldn't base everything on politics. Let me take this dog out, come right back with more response. But also, sorry, also, let's look at somebody else's post right below this and then we'll finish this one. But it says, this is Righteous Crusader. This person says the real takeaway from Bill Maher's visit to the White House is not that Trump is a gracious, thoughtful, genuine human being. It just affirms that legacy media are a bunch of lying propagandists who have been engaged in the character assassination of a good man for about 10 years. Remember, Trump was a Democrat and a Democrat donor, big time donor for years and years and years. But then once he decided, in his words, to drain the swamp, things went south for him. And they've been on his tail ever since. But, you know, if you didn't have corruption in Washington, there wouldn't be a problem, right? Let's see. It says, I don't agree with 80% of Bill's policies, but respect the hell out of him for willing to speak to anyone, including President Trump. This is a great example of unifying America. Got to respect the president for making the time when he doesn't need to. Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is sit down and have a conversation with somebody, and you don't have to agree with what they're saying, but at least you get your cards out on the table in a coherent and meaningful way. You don't, you like I said, you don't have to agree with somebody, but I mean, you can still give your opinion, give your side of or your perspective, and you should be okay. But whatever. Um, let's see. This is Vigilant Fox. This is not really about the Trump thing, but it says Bill Maher says Democrats didn't just flirt with woke, they married it, and now it's dragging the whole party off a cliff. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. So, I mean, like he said, he's kind of more of a centrist, and that's okay. I mean, you gotta do what's best for you. I don't agree with being center, but okay. Let's see here. So let me get back to this clip. Sorry, I just had to show a few of those clips real quick. So
meeting, you're ridiculous. He's going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
He's not wrong.
So meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. A dumb guy, fired like a dog. His show is dead. 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did.
I mean, you can't fault him. He owned it. He owned it.
Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him? What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a fuck. So,
and I think that's what we've devolved to is like, you know, if somebody doesn't agree with like the Democrat Party or even the Republican Party on certain things, they're like, you're out. That's it. It's like you're hard line. But I mean, not everybody has the same perspective on everything on every topic. So you just have to have your perspective. You don't have to agree on every single thing. And I mean, sometimes you just don't have to talk about politics if it's going to cause you grief in your workplace, your marriage, you know, just life in general. I mean, you don't have to. I want to look at the comments on this too. You don't have to agree with somebody on every single thing. Just don't talk about the politics. I mean, it's cool. Let's play it from here. Then that way they could, if I do get a copyright ding, it'll be like, it was on X. I'm just recording it, reacting to it. Duh.
So no, I didn't go MAGA. And to the president's credit, there was no pressure to. After we left the Oval Office, he showed me the little room off the office, you know, the one where Clinton used to.
Oh.
The blowjob room. Okay. That's where they keep the merch now.
Wow.
He gave me a bunch of hats, but he didn't ask me to take a picture in one, which I appreciate. The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner shit tweeted a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome someone to your house.
Well, I mean, you get what you get.
But when I got there, that guy wasn't living there. Now, does Trump want respect? Of course. Who doesn't? My friend said to me, what are you going to wear to the White House? I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to dress like Zelensky. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, don't be disrespectful.
Just for starters, he laughs. I've never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. Thank you for that. Example, in the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know, the best thing about him, his hair.
His hair. Oh my gosh.
I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed. He got it. I said to him at one point, Mr. President, you know the dog, that's unusual in the White House. He said, well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons. I said, no, people love dogs. That's what that is. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's true. At one point, we were walking through his amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. You get mad? He's much more self aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing, people whose response to things you say just doesn't track like, what? None of that was him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so's mine. So many moments when I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy. I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, well, obviously you're privy to things about it. I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. Get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic? He took it in. I told him I thought parts of his plan for Gaza were wacky, but that I had supported him in the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of hell. Told him he was wrong when he tweeted the night before that I was critical of all things Trump. Not true. Check the tapes. Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far. Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports. Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany when Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, you're right, they took none. I said, well, you should remind your boyfriend in Saudi Arabia that the next time you see him.
Boyfriends? Who is he talking about?
He laughed. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama. I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days. He was even okay when I checked him on the orangutan.
And it's like with the it seems like with the Democrats, like if you don't agree at all, they will just cut you off. They don't want anything to do with you. Just like I'm sure we're fixing to look at all these comments and of the left going nuts because he actually went and did it. I mean, I already heard a few things like last week or whenever this took place, the last couple of weeks. But I'm sure people are ripping him up and down for doing it. But anyway, let's let him finish and then we'll look at the comments. Oh, so Susan, I think $5 million orangutan sex joke.
No, he said to Dana White, you know, Bill said my father was an orangutan, and I really love my father. And I said, well, Mr. President, I did that because I didn't like what you were doing regarding Obama's birth origins. I thought that was low. Again, no anger, just a little smile as if to say, yeah, I get it. The most surreal part of the whole night was when I got home. I flew back right after the dinner, and I'm in bed watching 60 Minutes from the night before. And there's Trump in one of their stories, standing at a podium in a room that looked to me like one of the rooms and podium places we'd just been in. And he's ranting, disgusting, you're a terrible person. And I'm like, who's that guy? What happened to Glinda the Good Witch? And why can't we get the guy I met to be the public guy? And I'm not saying it's our responsibility to do that. It's not. I'm just reporting exactly what I saw over 2.5 hours. I went into the mine, and that's what's down there. A crazy person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV a lot lives there, which I know is fucked up. It's just not as fucked up as I thought it was. And I have no illusions now that I'm back to work at my job that he might start a new list.
Lord.
Because I don't have a good feeling and will be critical about a lot of what he's doing, the trade war and disappearing people, ruling by decree, threatening judges, gutting the government with glee. I also think he now understands I have a job to do, or at least he did on this night, because he said to me early on that he'd seen our last episode, which was the Friday before this dinner. And he said, I thought maybe you'd be nice, but you hit me really hard. I did, because I'm not going to pull my punches that presidents get to propose a third term for themselves. He understood that, and without animus. That doesn't mean he's not going to try to do it. At one point, I said to him, you're scaring people. You really want to be scaring your own citizens so much? And I know now you're all saying, and what did he say to that? Honestly, I don't remember. But it wasn't, okay, I'll stop. So MAGA fans, don't worry. Your boy gave me nothing. Just hats. Hats in a very generous amount of time and a willingness to listen and accept me as a possible friend, even though I'm not MAGA, which was the point of the dinner. My favorite part of the whole night was we were standing in the blowjob room.
Gross.
And he said, you know, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, they don't like you.
Yeah.
Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really, that's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay, that's my report. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high. Damn, missed opportunity.
So anyway, let's look at these comments. Oh, hold on. Let me. Ugh, it's so slow. Working. Of course. So it's gonna keep playing, but let's see if it'll show us the comments. So it says capitulating to Trump is unforgivable. Bill Maher finally steps into the lion's den, sits down with the big dog, and walks out stunned that Trump didn't bite his head off. Welcome to reality, Bill. You met the man, not the media caricature, not the Twitter booger man. Boogie. I said booger man. a boogeyman, but the real deal, a leader who listens, cracks jokes, and doesn't need to fake charm for cameras. You spent 2 hours with him and got more truth than a decade of network fluff. You said he was gracious, sharp, and even self aware. Yeah, no kidding. That's the guy we've known since day one. Not perfect, not polished, but a warrior who takes the heat and never backs down. And you didn't drink the Kool Aid, Bill. You just finally took off the blindfold. What you describe is the Trump on the Rogan podcast. It's the Trump at the now famous or infamous Trump rallies. It's exactly how people who have met Trump in person describe him. That you had to handle your audience with kid gloves to state what half the country knows is telling. Let's see. I think it's interesting that MAGA has always been able to see the real Donald Trump without the trip to the White House, without the personal conversations. I don't know why that is, but we have been ridiculed and hated for saying almost exactly what you just said for over a decade. So I am happy that you understand that there's a warm, interesting, funny, caring human being in the White House who's nothing like the monster the media has created. But please remember that you are part of creating and projecting that image onto this man, and that for whatever reason MAGA could see what you could not. um as constitutional populist, not sworn to any party but MAGA, I now follow Bill. Together we stand. I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong. Well, I can see that. Amazing how long it takes the smartest people on the left to figure out what the average MAGA supporter figured out 10 years ago. And that was great, Bill. I'm not much of a fan, but I think it's important to keep an open dialogue with those you disagree with the most. There has to be common ground. Yeah, I mean, just have a conversation. You don't have to agree on everything, but you should be allowed to kind of give your opinion in a safe environment where the other person's not going to like attack you like physically or whatever. I mean, I've seen a lot of violence on the internet of people that can't share their opinion without being attacked. So um, it says Trump will talk to anyone, and more importantly, he will listen to all views. I love it that you went and appreciate your boring analysis, which is not an insult. This is how we heal. Um, you gotta respect Bill for this, no matter how you vote. Thanks. I love listening to Bill Maher. I'm MAGA. I can't stand when Maher goes hot liberal. I mute that. I don't like some of the things Trump says and does, but one thing you can't deny, in my opinion, is that he loves America. That's why I switch sides. And then let's see how easy it is. You can be more than one thing. You have to at least listen to both sides. Doesn't mean you agree. Exactly. Just the ability to just share your opinion, give your perspective, because everybody comes to this at from a different angle. But anyway, I just thought I'd look at those. I figured there would be a lot more people, going off on Bill, but I mean, they seem to, be accepting of the idea of at least sitting down with him. I'm sure some people, let's see, I was going to say, it's sad to see someone getting attacked for trying to be civil with people they don't agree with. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just was trying to look at that. Um, I'm just looking at some of this stuff here on the side. Anyway, I mean, you should be able to just sit down, have a conversation, like I said, and then agree, disagree, you know, but be able to share your opinion because everybody, like I said, comes at this at different angles. We all have our different needs and wants and desires for America. But anyway, that's just my observation of this. Like I said, I figured there would be more insulting people here. But anyway, I'll try to get this uploaded. Hopefully, it doesn't give me another copyright strike. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. I'm still gonna try to do page 11, the JFK stuff. So just give me a little bit and I'll get those uploaded as soon as I can. Talk to y'all later. Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all have a good afternoon. See ya.